We saw Odette leave the tower, trying to keep a family safe, leaving all of their possessions to them, making sure nobody could steal what mattered to them, envying a world she'll never know of connection, of kindness, of importance to others. And by choosing to save that for a family she never and probably will never meet, she walked to the edge, saw the world, the cradle, for what it was, as she fell, seemingly to her death. But right before hitting the ground, a hand reached out and saved her, but not the man next to her. She then found the land of comfort, a small village burnt down, withered with age, and through acts of kindness and self-sacrifice brought comfort back from the brink, just to turn on her, accidentally, and kill her. As comfort's magic left the world, she said, "You could not have known. It's not your fault." And yet the world still hardened, the plants still withered, and the ground still changed into a very reflective mirror, of which Odette stands now, looking down at her own reflection, holding part of a dead god, having absorbed a bit of her power. What's Odette thinking?
Odette is trying to understand what just happened, and she doesn't fully compute what has occurred, but holding the coal in her hand and seeing her own reflection, there's pure horror of what has occurred in her first night away from the tower and everything she's known. And then a sort of numbness rests over her, because she has seen plenty of death at the tower, but this one is one that she's caused in some way, and the fear of accidentally doing that again and not understanding what that means became so much that she just rests it down, because it's not going to help her in this moment. But she does keep that coal with her in her bag with the wheat seeds that she had taken. And going through the bag, the provisions she did accept, have those also wilted away?
They have not. They were a gift taken, and they are still yours.
So she just takes stock of what she has, and she stands up and walks away and just ignores the fact that her eyes are wet and her cheeks are starting to show the tears falling, as she just does not acknowledge it and continues on her journey to nowhere.
And where would she head?
Is there any kind of path from this village?
Yeah, so from here, you would see like very old, faded and dusted over paths of when the cradle used to support life before everyone moved to the tower. So there are some roads leading out and away towards what are now the carcasses of discarded gods laying on the ground. There are a few leading back towards the tower, the one that you took to get into here, and saw how far apart it is. You also know that on the other side of that chasm that seemed to have ripped the earth apart, there are things that way. Whether you know how you'd get to them or not is a question for Odette. But if you wanted to find a path and walk it, there's a literal one present. But if you also wanted to try and see if you can use this new power to find a way, you can try and lean into the divinity a bit and see where that takes you.
She will start not leaning into that divinity because in her mind, that's what just hurt someone.
Mm-hmm.
And so she'll start just walking along the path.
Okay. Yeah. While walking along the path, it's very dry. The desert around the tower has always been dry. Rainfall is not common. At night it's cold, and it's a very harsh, like almost steel cold. But seeing it firsthand is strange because even when it's kicked up, everything seems to stay down. The dust moves out of your feet, but it doesn't come up in clouds. It instead just shifts with each step, leaving clear footprints of where you've been. As you move towards some of these larger monuments on the distance, you can see the river above having drained itself and falling slowly, crumbling. It's just sitting on top. And it's hard to tell what's natural and what's decay at this point. But after walking a bit, you would come to a more involved land. There has clearly been some sort of fight here in the past that has led to disruption, whether it be from mortals or deities. I'm not sure you would know. But there are things around here. What would Odette be looking for on her quest? What is she trying to find?
She doesn't entirely know what she's looking for. She knows the end goal would be her dream, which is to find the unnamed god. But to find this deity, she was not planning on doing currently. And so what she'd do at this new spot, seemingly at the site of a battle, is see if the Wayfarer's Journal has anything within that could maybe help guide where she should go next from this point.
Yeah. Skimming through it, you would not find anything specific to this scene here, but I think from your fall, you got enough of a glimpse of the landscape that there are places you can recognize would be referenced. So you know one of them talked about, like, at the edge of the land where the river, like, fully goes into an ocean, but a mortal ocean, not one in the sky. There was at one point a deity there who supported life. You also know that there is someone that seems to be more of a trickster god, that when you deem yourself truly lost, they'll appear. Not sure their intention, but the Wayfarer doesn't seem to make them out as malicious, just more not unaccepted, but misunderstood is a better way for the people of the past to communicate with this god, or their belief around its intention. You also know that somewhere there has to be a garden that never stops blooming. It's mentioned a few times in the Wayfarer's Travel that they could return time and time again to this homestead, but you don't see a blooming garden right now. Could be that it's now under a body, could be that it's just further out. I think those are the things that would call your attention most from what you saw while falling.
She would use the practical part of her brain to know that her water supply will not last long because it was not ready for a long journey, and I think was already waiting due to it being the end of the day. And so she will head towards where she saw the river, and that there might be a life goddess at, although she hopes she doesn't encounter any deities there.
Yeah. On your walk, you're able to easily take off the path and follow the dried riverbed to its end. As you do, you can just see all of the way that it was shaped before. The way that nature was able to move something, because it could have been that a god drew this river, but you also see that there's just a bit of humanness here. That the river had carved its own path, but one or two dams and technology that was still used up in the tower have been planted that has caused it to divert in spots. And I think you see a lot of the origins of your people's tools as you're walking along. But you do eventually make it to the end, where there are several buildings that were once raised on stilts, essentially, hovering over the ocean, that have now collapsed, fallen to the side. Seemingly homes that were meant to live in tandem with the sea air, if not the sea itself, and now lie cracked and discarded, with no one watching over them, except for some tiny little animals that are sitting inside the nests of the windowsills and such.
Odette will take a moment, take in the majesty of what an ocean looks like up close, and I think we'll sit there for a moment and let that contentment settle. And I think she sits there a little too long. She's typically a girl on the move who's always needing to be doing something. And eventually will make herself get up and see if she can scavenge anything from these buildings, what's left of them on the ground.
Nice. Yeah. The ones left on the ground have pots, have jars, have a lot of nets, a lot of tools that could be used for fishing. You find clean water, distilled, that has been left in these jars, the ones that haven't broken. Yeah. And then you would also find just a couple of skeletons. Some of them laying hand in hand, as though they accepted what was coming. Something that would indicate to you it had to have been quick. These aren't the bodies of things that died with age and laid there. These are things that seemingly are trapped in their last moments.
She works to not disturb those bodies and wonders what could have happened to them. Probably something that had to do with the gods and their fighting. She will I think she'll spend the day around this area because it is one of the nicest places she's been, and I think the ocean is something that would be fascinating to her. So I think she'd spend the day kind of going through what artwork and poetry she has of it and comparing what people had in the similes they created with the ocean, what it represents to different people, and just kind of studying that, how some people see it as something calm and beautiful, and some see it as raging and angry. And I think she just observes that.
Yeah. One of the things you would notice, without needing to spend too much time comparing it to your own collection, is that the symbol for Crest seems to be all over. Crest is the god of change. Crest is often depicted with like light blues and silvers, and the only thing that can be agreed upon is that they change. There's no depiction of them that is the same as one another. There's no way for people to identify them by shape or appearance or even symbol, because some will say their symbol is a single drop of water, some will say it's an entire lake, some will say it's everything in the world all at once, as nothing is ever stagnant. But you can see that this is here, and change was often worshipped, which wouldn't be that hard to piece together because of where you're at. You also see above some of the doorways, the ones that have the bodies in them, the depiction of that hand, which is the symbol of death. Not the god of rot, who takes slowly and harms along the way, but the calmer god of death, who is your friend at the end, the one to guide people through. And it doesn't seem like either of these gods' presences have been made known here recently, but it does seem like they could claim this place, and if you needed to contact them, is a spot that their attention would be if they're still around. Looking in one of the homes, you also find a poem someone seems to have left here of the last time someone looked at this spot, which is either someone from not in the tower, and that means there are others out here that you weren't aware of, or someone who managed to leave a note that lasts just as long.
The prospect of other people, whether outside of the tower or someone who may have been able to leave and as well, wakes her up out of the sort of fog she was in. And that ache in her heart that she always has had but just doesn't acknowledge because she's still been surrounded by people despite the loneliness she's felt. This true isolation that she's having. The idea of it breaking in any way fuels her, and she's going to look through even the poem to see if there's any hints on where they're from or what if they reference anything aside from this place.
Sure. The poem reads, "The gray of the sea and the skin too long in the water. My darling, I saw you among the sand, blasted and fallen houses that people call home. The sea, the sea, the sea. My darling, I saw you among the sand blasted and fallen homes my people call home. I saw you dancing among the ruins of stilted homes that touched the sea, the sea, the sea. I saw you dancing among the ruins of stilted homes that touched the sea. I watched you look back through the sand and dust to give a loving smile, knowing you had taken all that I once knew, and would take me one day towards the sea, the sea, the sea. I watched you look back through the sand and dust to give a loving smile, knowing you had taken all that I once knew, and would take me one day towards the end of all things. I cannot stop it, I know I can't, nor do I think anyone will. I chased you towards the sea. The sea. The sea. I cannot stop it. I know I cannot, nor do I think anyone will. No one can stop the tides and what they take to the sea. The sea. The sea. And I think you would know that that is not written in the tower's vernacular.
She reads it over and over. And very, very, very carefully adds it to her possessions with her collection of artwork and poetry and stories. And there's a renewed hope that maybe she will come across others that have survived, and that maybe the tower isn't humanity's last hope. Maybe there's a place others can end up. But that poem repeats in her mind as she leaves the sea. And it helps her understand this area a lot more and what this person was experiencing, and that sort of forlornness and grief. And I think as she leaves, she just says a quick, by habit, prayer of peace or goodwill.
Okay. Do you think mechanically you would be using your pray for guidance move by doing this?
Ooh. Maybe a little bit on accident. Pray for guidance.
Name the aid you seek and answer one question. The GM will aid that actually comes and answer the other.
The aid I seek is next steps, because she is so although she won't declare it yet, she's very lost.
Mm-hmm.
She's not at that point yet. And let me see.
So the questions are: what kind of god answers your prayer, or what unclear omens or visions beseech you?
I think the kind of god that answers her prayers, if they're still around, because I don't know, would be the god of change, because of that representation in the ocean, ever changing, and that's what's on her mind.
Then yeah, I think the omen that you see, because you're praying for direction, right? Praying for understanding. I think the omen you see here would be the water has been very still, except for when the animals run through it. But now, as you're focusing clearly, asking out, where do I go next? What do I do? You see a current kick up in a way that would not, granted, you don't know the ocean, but for those who would know oceans, a current wouldn't make sense to run alongside the shore. But you see just a very small ripple appear from the side of one of the houses that's collapsed into it and just echo out, going up the coastline until you can't see it anymore. And then after about 30 seconds, another ripple and a repeated motion of water guiding you up the coastline kicks up after you pray your little prayer.
With nothing else to guide her, she will follow the coastline and follow that current.
Does she say anything as she sees this omen kick up?
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. And you follow it for a long while. Longer than I think your hope would last. But then, with nothing else guiding, would Odette continue on?
I think so. I think I'm assuming this would be over the course of days.
Yes.
I think she would just spend the night adding a melody to that poem with her lute and working on turning that into some sort of song because of how beautiful and lyrical the poem is.
Okay. As you finish your song, the next morning dawns. You're able to have gotten some sleep, and you follow the coast to its bend, to the other side of something you've seen from the tower your whole life. Since you've been born, there has been the carcass of a god laying here. No one's really sure what it is anymore, but you know how large it was, and that it was always had its back facing you. So you could see its rib cage stretching out, decorating the skyline. But as you turn the coastline and round the tip of its skull, you come to where an eye socket is, or was. And it's the strangest thing, because inside of that seems to be tents, seems to be resources, seems to be signs of life. No people are here, but remnants of people are here, and they don't look old. They look as though this is a recent setup.
Her gait, as the days had gone on, had slowed quite a bit. And seeing that, she sprints over there, jumping over rocks and kind of using some of her old tricks to get there just as quickly as possible to see what's left. Why would they leave their tents here? Are they coming back?
Yeah. Looking around, it looks as though they'll come back. This doesn't look abandoned. You've seen what happens when some of the huts in the tower get abandoned. And they just have a sort of air to them that you can feel, but they also have a look to them of like the amount of disheveled or displaced where you can tell things were and they're no longer. Here, it's disheveled, but it's clearly in a pattern. It's not that it's been gone for so long that nothing makes sense. This is the work of people who have gone out planning to come back.
Okay, this is good. She's just going to, I think, post herself up a little bit so she can look at the village, but not be there if they arrive, and just kind of wait nearby, so that she would be the one approaching them if they show up, not them approaching her in their home. She doesn't want to do that.
Good plan. So are you sitting like on the way you came, so that if they come back towards like the face, they would see you as well? Or are you trying to get like up above the like eye socket so you're like above the spot?
I think she'd go back the way she came.
Okay. Yeah. With the excitement in you, it feels longer than it is. But after probably half an hour or so, you hear voices on the wind. Not really in a way that you understand fully. You can tell it's the same language you speak, but the way that they speak it seems to have shifted from how you and your friends would speak. But you can hear the voices of people coming up. They are not loud. They're not singing. They are not trying to move with intention. Oh, well, they're trying to move without attention, but they're moving very much with intention as they single file make their way back to this campground, spotting you on the way because you have chosen to make yourself present. They don't do anything aggressive towards you. They look curiously, as you are not someone they know, but none of them make the first move to approach you, as you are not in the direct path needed to return home.
I will slowly approach them, showing that all I have is a lute on my back and a bag full of paper. Like, there's not much about her. As she will approach them.
And what does she say as she's approaching?
She just says, "Hello, I am a friend, and I'm looking for guidance."
Okay. They look back at you, and then kind of look at each other before one of them steps up. It is not a common day someone unknown declares himself a friend. What guidance do you need from us?
Well, it's just, it's honestly just good to see a friendly face, but I'm from the tower.
When you say that, you see like an immediate shift in their tone.
I don't intend on returning to the tower. I fell from there.
You fell and yet you're alive?
Yeah, yes. It's a long story. I'm looking for someone.
From the tower?
No. Maybe. Oh, how do I word this? And she's gonna kind of take out this small stack of papers of poems and everything that she has, and is just gonna kind of go through them and kind of regale a little bit as quickly as she can the fact that she's technically looking for an unnamed deity that might not exist, and say
so it sounds like you're trying to use connect with someone.
Yes.
Yeah. So what is it, which of the two prompts would you like to use here? Would you like to state what you have in common with them, or state what divides you from them?
Because I don't know what common ground we currently share, I'll go ahead and do what still divides us.
Okay.
The level of understanding between the two would divide them, especially because Odette's not good with meeting like new people. It's not something she's super familiar with doing. She's way out of her element. So I think she's just incredibly awkward during this. And sounds a little like a conspiracy theorist when she's talking. And so I'm sure she doesn't seem entirely like someone that can be connected to at this point.
And with the divide, I want to make sure I'm clear here. It sounds like you are putting more understanding on Odette than on the people. You're saying that they maybe aren't as aware of what you're trying to get across as what you're saying?
I think that's fair, but also she doesn't understand them in the sense that she doesn't know what their past is, what their goals are. Like,
yeah. So as you share your beliefs that you can find the unnamed god, they share. They're not looking for an unnamed god. They're not looking for a god of any kind, but they also don't seem to be. In defiant would be the wrong term. A lot of the people in the tower are aware of the purpose of the gods. They're aware of the kindnesses that myth has stated they will afford to people, but they're not people that have seen it firsthand. These people, however, seem to be much more aware of what it's like living under the guidance of a god than anyone in the tower would be. But they share the common ground you have in the belief it could be a better system. And after, I imagine Odette's a situation where she'll be talking, these people will try to ask a question, but then you'll just hear the start of a question, change topic, and continue talking without them able to really interject. Is that how you would see this conversation going?
I don't think so for this. I think she's almost a little shy and insecure too at this. Like, it's the first time she's presenting this idea to someone, and she wants them to not judge her on it. Like, she typically she doesn't care, but for this she's feeling a little like, they know more, they're more experienced in this, I am a novice.
Okay. Then I think the one who started talking, he'll introduce himself as Patrick, is aware of the hesitancy you seem to show, and sees how you're presenting it with the guise of a novice, like you said. And I think he'll misread it a little bit, not of you're trying to get it across with as much understanding as you can, but will read it as you're getting across with as much reverence as you can. We know not your unnamed god, but we do admire your reverence to the ones above you. You are welcome to stay with us for a while, and we can perhaps offer the guidance you seem to need. What skills do you have that you can contribute?
I've collected stories that I will happily share. At the tower, I was just a performer. I would compile works and turn them into song.
Yeah. Tell us of the tower. We have heard, probably in the way you have distant recollection, that people once walked the land. We have myth of when it was erected and people were cast out, chosen that they could not live with the rest of humanity as your elders determined. What is the land like that is promised to, but taken from the rest of us?
It is no utopia. It's falling apart, split in half, and held together by cords. And there are accidents every day that cost lives. Resources are low. People turn on each other. It's not a good reflection of humanity. In almost every sense of the word. But There are families. There are people that care for each other. I think it's worth saving, but I don't think the structure itself is. But the people in it.
And you plan to ask this unnamed god to safely take people off the tower?
More make the land around it able to be lived on again. We can't farm. The weather is harsh. Just even just giving a little hope, something.
Maybe your first step then should be finding a god of hope.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Okay. Well, I imagine if nothing else, you'll make a decent lookout.
I could do that, yeah.
Okay. And yet they invite you into their home. It's not a permanent structure. They appear to be nomadic in nature, finding spots that they can be sheltered as best they can. They also tell you of the difficulties that, especially nearer to the tower where the land is so bad, there are things that will reside underground that is very hard for them to be aware of. But they also believe that the gods and people who wanted to retreat the most have made their ways underground, and that perhaps the reason the cradle's falling apart so much is they are trying to build a new cradle somewhere else. Wow. They seem to believe this with the same level of belief you have in the unnamed god. So whether it is a true statement or something they're looking for, Odette can choose how she believes. But that they let you know that that is their intention and that is their plan, is to find the way to the new cradle.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. Odette absolutely believes this.
Mm-hmm.
I would be happy to assist while I can. I don't know if I have anything on the underground. And she'll probably just quickly flip through the Wayfarer's journal to see if there's anything on the underground. Yep.
Nothing on the underground. Nope.
Nope, that's fine. I didn't expect it. Just wanted to make sure.
Yep, no, nothing on the underground there. But yeah. Nice. Then life with them is slow, but it's kind. There are a few tasks that you have to do. They have a few stories and just like myths of their own that they would happily pass on to you. It's only a group of about 20 people in total. They are from a larger city that is many days away, the same way that the tower was many days from here. And they give you the map in case you ever want to try and find your way there. But with the time with them, what do you think you would provide most to this group? Or what do you think would be the hardest thing Odette experiences living with these new people?
Just living with these new people and wanting to feel useful and realizing just how her survival skills and such are not up to par. She was never prepared for a journey like this, despite it being something she's wanted to do. I think that's difficult for her to feel like she's not able to contribute to the fullest. Like, being a lookout and playing music and stuff is lovely. But in addition, she's trying to learn as best as she can how to contribute in other ways as well. What she tries to provide, I think, is some of the provisions she has. I think she would give them a couple of those wheat seeds in case they have a place they can take them, although I know they won't be able to plant them unless, because they're nomadic. But if they have a place for that, I think she provides them with stories of the tower, to kind of bridge that gap and create that understanding, because her understanding from the tower was there was no one left, and their understanding was that the tower was a utopia and a place that maybe years ago was highly sought after, but now it's almost a trap for the people that are there, because it's stay and die or leave and die is essentially what it is.
There's not a direct mechanical move here that I would like you to do, but I would like you to roll 2d6 for me and tell me the result as you reflect on what the difference is between the ways that you've seen the world and the world has seen you.
6. I got 2 3s.
Okay. It's hard to make out the timeline of when these people's community came to be versus when the tower was erected. It's very clear that it's not like a direct one-to-one. There would be no way that a group of this kind could have sustained themselves for as long as the tower has, even with the city that they claim to be from. But you do realize a bit as they're putting it together, and as you have stated, you know that there aren't meant to be people outside the tower. A seed of doubt starts to enter your mind of how much of the tower is true versus how much of it is what we were told, so we would never question the tower. And then, go ahead.
There's a part of her that's already trying to figure out a plot to get a message to at least Alexander and being like, hey, just a heads up, something's up. But I know she will want more answers before even getting to that point. But that seed has been planted.
Okay. And then the other thing that happens while you're here is, one, they are very thankful for the rations you provide them, and a little confused on how you have access to things such as wheat seed and fresh fruit. Would you tell them where that came from, or would you keep that closer to your chest?
I think she'd tell them, but I think she'd say that the energy used to create this has been spent.
So what is the wording you tell them?
Yeah. Yep, I was afraid you were gonna ask that. I encountered someone at there was a ruined village near the tower, and I shared with her what I had, and she shared with me what she had. But she did use all of her energy to do that. So there's unfortunately nothing else there.
Well, it is fortunate then for you that you met her when she had the power to do so. And maybe with enough time, she will regain the power needed and can help another once again. It is good that you have come in contact, at least, with the Divine, if that is who she was, for your earlier thoughts on how your unnamed god functioned seemed out of touch with the reality of the land.
That is what I am starting to learn.
Well, tonight we are going on a hunt, and you are welcome to join us. If you choose to join us, we will gladly have you, but know that if you choose to stay behind, we will leave you to your own, for we cannot stay in one spot for too long.
Well, thank you for your hospitality. I do not want to overstay in any way, and I don't think I can contribute much to a hunt, but
Do not sell yourself short. You will need to hunt if you are to survive. It takes more than just spears and sticks to survive. Some of us, as you know, are here not as a distraction, but as a body to catch attention. Some here are simply there because they know how to call out to others. You are welcome, of course, to head off on your own, but if you think that you are never going to need to hunt your own, you are a wildly naive child.
then I guess I will stay and see what it is I need to learn.
Okay. They pack up the tents, folding everything into like backpacks they're able to carry with them. And they make it known to you that they only hunt after they have cleared up. For many of the creatures that are able to stay and survive in the cradle, they would very easily find their way back to, like, if it's a carcass of an animal, they could sniff it out or anything like that. So if they were to do a kill and stay in the area, it would not go well for anyone involved. So as they're packing up, one of the younger ones, about your age, walks up and she hands you a spear. I don't know how well you can wield it, but heard you coming with us.
I am. I don't know how to use... What is this?
This is a spear. It's a stick with a sharp point.
Ah.
You throw it.
Okay.
You know how to throw, right?
Somewhat.
Okay, well, if nothing else, you can be a distraction.
That I can probably do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Either way, better to have it and be armed than, I guess, just stand there. I don't know.
Yeah. What's your name?
Clarice.
Clarice. Nice to meet you. Odette.
Yes. Good to formally meet. Okay. I take it this is your first.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. The tower really didn't train you for survival, did it?
No. I think they want you to have to stay.
Well. We head out at night. Anything you need to do here, do before we leave.
Okay. Thank you.
And is there anything Odette would do with her last probably hour before the sun is fully set and the only thing in the sky is a darkened moon and the remnants of the river?
All she does is she does help them pack up. Absolutely will help with that. And just kind of actually take in the scale of the carcass of this dead god, because she has only seen it from a distance. And actually seeing the scale and what it looks like, and understanding that she has encountered one of these beings and somehow ended it, is just something that she reflects on.
Yeah. Do you think that would be trying to feel something out, or is that just an internal reflection?
I think it's just an internal reflection for this.
Okay, cool. Then yeah, as you reflect, able to bring in that thought, maybe thinking, would comfort ever have reached this size if she was continued to be supported and prayed to, if she had people she could continue helping? You saw her go from a withered husk to a person. Was there something darker underneath that allowed her to lure people to her, or was she simply kind? Answers we'll never have, but questions worth asking regardless, as you all head out on a hunt. It's not long before this group of people, 21 including you, about 15 of whom stay to the back. There's the primary 5 who are the ones with the spears that know how to wield them up in the front. And you come up on a 4-legged animal that is seemingly aware of your presence, but not because of any senses it has. It seems to be far more aware that you were coming than that you are here. Something allowing it to see glimpses into its own fate. And as you approach, it's a strange looking creature. It's nothing depicted in the books that you have, nothing depicted in the art of the tower and the history classes that some of the elite children are taught. Instead, it's this 4-legged creature bent over with skin that's blue, but like pulses with a light as its heart beats. You can see just little shimmers of blue going down it. It has a long nose and 2 tusks, but they don't seem to really serve a purpose that you can tell. And it stands almost gracefully and gallantly, waiting to square off against the 5 spearsmen.
She just is fascinated with this, and her mind is going to, was this created from the remnants of the river above because of the color and the glow? Like, she's just absolutely fascinated, and her brain is just wandering slightly, but also she makes herself snap back into focus because she needs to learn this or else she's gonna die.
Yeah. Trying to learn it. There was, I imagine, Tempt Fate is going to be the closest one here.
Okay.
As we don't really have an observe or learn skill, the Tempt Fate here is going to be how well you can understand and how well you can recreate this in the future.
Wonderful.
So, a skilled ally is lending you a hand.
Wonderful.
You have people that are with you. Do you have no other options? I'd say no. You could have chose not to come. Yes, it's going to benefit you to know how to hunt, but it's not something you would need to have done today. And are you far from any gods that wish you harm? Right now, you haven't upset anyone.
Yay!
So I'll say yes as well. So go ahead and roll 2d6, and you will add 2.
I rolled 2 1s.
Oh no!
What does that mean?
So on a 4 total, I think we lean into that distraction you mentioned, where you are thinking for a second about how mythological and cool the beast is, and forget you're meant to be studying the actions of those around you. This is also a creature who, as described earlier, seems to be able to glimpse its own fate. And in the blink of an eye, when you're not paying attention, we see from a different camera perspective that the creature is aware that you are not, and is going to take a moment to charge at you.
Oh, that's great.
I would like you to either challenge someone dangerous or inflict violence. Or if you want to go full divine, we can wield a power.
Oh, no.
You tell me what you would like to do here. And for those at home, if we choose inflict violence, it'll be the most combat related.
Yeah.
If we challenge someone dangerous, it'll kind of be a hope or attempt to egg on this creature or calm it down. If we wield a power, Abby gets to tell us what that looks like.
This is survival. I'm going to inflict violence because she is trying to learn how to do this and knows that she will eventually have to do this to survive. Mm-hmm. And so she just snaps into reality and awkwardly lifts up the spear. Like, it's so new to her.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Does the creature wish you harm? Yes.
Aw.
Are you desperate?
Probably. Yeah.
Is it personal? I'd say no. This is a case of it is being hunted and it is acting out. I don't think it's targeting me. I mean, it's targeting you because it knows you're weak. It's not targeting you for a personal reason.
No, and I don't. So, it's not personal on my end either.
Yeah. So 2d6 again +2.
Okay, so that's 5 + 2, 7.
Okay, so on a 7 to 9, the conflict ends on your terms. So I know that you described that you nervously put your spear out in front of you, but this is going to work. Odette is going to get the thing that they wanted out of this. What is that ending?
She just, as it charges, she just aims the spear at the glowing heart, and holds the spear out far enough that there's some length between it charging and it getting impaled by the spear. And she wants to look away, but she's not going to do that. She's going to give the creature the dignity of witnessing its death. And it's nothing super cool and epic. It's awkward and lucky that she got this on first try, as it falls.
As it falls, it lets out a sound you haven't heard, a sound you probably can't recreate unless you make an instrument dedicated to the sound of this animal. But you also see, as the light leaves its heart, as its blood stops circulating, as the shimmer and pulse stop, almost unseen except for the fact that you're so close to its face, there seems to just be something that slowly closes its eyelids. And then, comfortably, this creature slumps down onto your spear as it pierces out the back end.
And she drops the spear, knowing that she probably should have just withdrew the spear, but is allowing herself that moment of blood on her hands again. Even if it's maybe not on the same caliber as what happened with Comfort, it's still just in her mind.
Yeah, Patrick and the others turn to you. Well, good job. Not what we were expecting when you said to Clarissa you knew nothing of wielding a spear, but strike well.
Thanks. I think that was luck.
Well, pray to your unnamed god then that your luck keeps up.
Cheers to that. And she'll just observe what they do after to make sure she knows.
Yeah, you would see that they teach you how to clean it, how to strip it, how to keep the pelt. They'll tell you that for other animals, sometimes it's not a good idea to keep the pelts. As you saw, this one's able to shimmer and move. For some, they like wearing them would give more attention than you would want out of the resources. So, as much as they regret it, there are some animals that they just leave parts of the body behind, but they teach you how to strip it down to its components and set off. We're gonna follow the river in the sky, not the one on the ground, a bit, hoping to find another entrance to the cradle itself. If you would like to come with us, you can, but if not, our town is not that far from here. You could probably make it yourself on foot. And if you tell them that we sent you, they will be more willing to house you than if you just showed up announcing you were from the tower.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I'll go to the town. Thank you so much for your help.
Yeah, well, it's not often one meets an individual like yourself.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I hope you find that new cradle.
If we do, our people will hear of it, and if you are considered one of our people by then, we'll make sure you know of it as well.
Thank you. Safe travels.
Godspeed, for whatever that means these days. And they make their way, continuing the river in the sky.
She will go her separate way towards the town to see what comes next in this journey of learning and learning what could come next.
And with that, we'll put a pause at our chapter, and we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.